We're up.
Can you shut that door though?
Oh, we're up.
Or does it need to stay open?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Mental Misdeeds. We're live. That was unprofessional intro, but here we are. We're going on. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm Dre, and I am ill prepared as usual.
You told me to start it, and then all of a sudden you're looking the other way as it's starting. So I'm just like shit. But
yeah. Tell me what's going on. Hey, we're live, by the way, bitch.
We are definitely live. And just a reminder, this show is brought to you by nugofknowledge.com. You can get all your CBD, THC, you know, the drill. Like we talked about it last episode. It's the best in the business. Go there, check it out. Nug of Knowledge, N-U-G-G of Knowledge. And if you don't know how to spell knowledge, you're an idiot.com.
Right.
Also, taxation. That's like the one word you can't misspell, right?
Right.
Also, taxationistheft.info. Go check them out as well. That's our good buddy, Dan Berman. Do you want to introduce our guest for the show today?
I would love to. Haven't talked to our guest in a couple years, but it's always such a good conversation because he has so many great ideas and he talks so fast, so he gets them all out. I love it. I always learn so much. So let's bring on our guest and hopefully the next governor of New York, Mr. Larry Sharpe.
Hey, I hope I am the governor of New York. You never know. If I would have been the governor, we would have had a much better outcome last couple years. That's for sure.
So what would you have done differently? That's always my first question. I mean, compared to obviously Cuomo.
That's always your first question?
Whenever I talk to someone that's running for office, I mean, how would you have handled the COVID crisis differently than the people that were in charge?
Who your name or something like that, but fine. Okay. You do you. You do you.
So we know you, my man.
It's all good. You do you. No. Actually, the funny part is I knew this was going to happen. Like people like you were going to ask me that question. I'm not joking when I say this. In March of 2020, I literally did 6 videos on the COVID response, knowing that years from now, people would say, well, what would you have done, Larry Sharpe? I knew they were going to say that.
Now you got the receipts.
Yes, I wanted to have receipts. I didn't want people to say, well, now that you know, you just... No. March of 2020. 2 years ago, I did 6 videos. They are still on my YouTube page, my Larry Sharpe and my Sharpe Way YouTube page. They're a separate playlist if you care. For those of you who care, I put exactly what I would have done. And did it age well? Shockingly, yes. Shockingly, yes. Now, it's not perfect because some things I didn't know then, right? I didn't know everything that I know now. So I said what I would do in every aspect, locally, state, and even national. My entire plan to fix everything. I put it up there. So anyone who's really into it and you like that kind of thing, you can feel free to check that out. But as a general rule, let me give you a general and some specifics. Number one thing you do is you don't want to politicize health. That was the biggest problem. When you begin to mandate and force things, you by default politicize them. And that was the number one issue. Now, wearing a mask or getting a vaccine or whatever is the thing, shutting down or staying home, that didn't become the right thing for your health. That became the way to show that I'm on the left or the right. And that's the wrong reason to do any of those things. You should wear the mask or get a vaccine or stay home or whatever those things are because you think it's right for you. That's why you should be doing it, for your health, whatever you think is correct in your own world. So what government can be used for relatively well in today's world, it isn't. But what it could be used for well is a central repository for information, right? Because the average American still wants to basically dial 911 or look at the official U.S. government stats. They believe those things are true. They're often not. It doesn't matter. The point is they believe that they're often true. So what I would have done is made them true. The first thing I would have done is said, hey, here is what I believe is the right thing for you to do for your health and for your business. Here is the government guidelines for what I think you should do. And I would have said, I don't know if it's right. Here's what I think. And I also would have allowed others to come on and do what they want. Now, there already is something called the Well Health Safety Seal. That is a private company that has decided what they think is right. And you can get their seal on your store if you want. That took over a year to come out. I would have had that come out within 30 days. Tell me, private sector, what do you think is the right answer? And here's yours too. And then the people say it's all garbage. They can have their thing too. Why? When I say there's only one way, you don't believe me. But when I say here are all the ways, you tend to believe me. It's not a 100% rule, but the odds are higher because I'm not hiding anything. I'm not saying that's fake news, that's wrong. I'm saying here's all three. Not just that, I don't send out my inspectors to punish people, which is what we did in New York. Instead, I send my inspectors out, and if you follow the guidelines that I have, you get my stamp. If you don't get my stamp. But I don't shut you down.
Yeah.
You have a choice. You follow my guidelines or you don't. And the health, safety people can go around and put their stamps too. And who shuts you down? Your community does. And I'm okay with that. That's the way it should work, right? If your community says, I don't trust you, Dre, you look shady to me, you don't have the Larry Sharpe stamp, I'm not going in your store, then you get shut down. And I'm okay with that. That's how the world works. But if you go, well, no, I was kidding. I love Larry Sharpe. I'm going to put a sticker on there. And I'm going to grab that health, safety one. I'm putting that one on too. And then the community loves you and we're good. But what else I would say is I want transparency. That's the only thing I punish you for not having is transparency. Meaning if you put my stamp on and you lied, that's fraud. That's a crime. I'm hammering you. If you put the health, safety seal on and you didn't follow their rules, that's fraud. That's a crime. I'm hammering you. But as long as you're transparent, you can say, I don't care about any of them. No stamp. No worries. Because what winds up happening is within the first 3 months, we would have found out what works at every local level. There wouldn't have been a question on does it work? Does it not work? Whatever. We would know. And the local people would have figured it out. And it wouldn't have been, it works because I'm a Democrat or doesn't because I'm a Republican. No, it would have been, it works because I know Joe and Joe's store does this and no one's dropping dead. And over at Bob's store, people are dropping dead. Okay, Bob is wrong. And they would decide on their own. I wouldn't have to shut anybody down. I wouldn't have to shut anything down. The communities would respond. And then here's the best part. What if I find out that what the CDC said was wrong? I don't have to fight. I can just go, oh, we did the homework. I'm looking at what's happening in my communities. I've changed. Why? Because the data has changed that you, New Yorkers, have given me. I'm changing. Now I think it's this. Keep giving me data, and as it changes, we'll shift. And by the time 6 months goes by, we got this down. We can function in a contaminated society, right? And you might go, is that bad? That's a good thing. When I was in the Marine Corps, we were taught. I was in the Marine Corps in the 80s. We still had a Soviet Union, and we were worried about, chemical warfare and nuclear warfare. And they taught us, just because they use chemical or biological weapons, this is the equivalent of a biological weapon, doesn't mean the war ends. You have to be able to find protocols and ways of surviving and still functioning in a contaminated environment. Well, so should civilians. We have to find a way to function in a contaminated environment. Our life shouldn't end because the environment's contaminated. And we have to find a way to survive and thrive through that. And we did not do that.
That's the big thing. Like, life can't just come to a screeching halt because there's a virus. Like, I had a friend who lived by himself and his dog was really sick. And he's telling me, I need to take my dog to the vet, but I just got exposed to COVID. I don't know what to do. I'm like, dude, take your dog to the vet. Like, your dog shouldn't just die because you got exposed to somebody and you might be sick. Like, we have to figure out
because of that.
Exactly.
People couldn't go get they couldn't get cancer checkups.
Yeah. Literally,
people died because of this. Not just dogs. Don't I love dogs. I have a dog. I don't want dogs to die. But I'm just saying, it's not just dogs.
For sure.
Maybe you're a cat person. You don't care about dogs.
I had a relative whose cardiology appointment was canceled. Just routine every 6 month cardiology appointment. 3 months later, he has a heart attack and dies. I mean, because it was deemed non-essential. I mean, that's literally, he would still be alive. They would have caught that had he not missed his appointment. Chances are.
Yeah, their classification of essential and non-essential blew my mind.
No. The fact that they could even classify it should have blown your mind.
Yeah,
it did.
But the fact that you're shutting down these things and not these things are detrimental to people's health. These things help people, but don't do that. Can't go there. They can't operate business.
Right.
What drives me crazy is what we made. And this is, again, what people didn't see. What we made is heroes. But did you notice all the heroes were all government workers? Mm-hmm. They were all the heroes.
And Uber Eats drivers.
Say again?
And Uber Eats drivers.
No, they didn't make those heroes in my state.
Oh,
in my state, it was all the government workers. They were all heroes. Now, I'm not against government workers. Look, you do you and have a job that pays your bills, right?
Sure.
And if that's a government job, good for you. Pay your bills. Any job that pays your bills is a good job. And by the way, an essential job. So here's how I define essential: a job that pays bills. So there is one exception to this rule. Let's say you're a spouse and your spouse makes tons of money, so much money, and you are just bored because you have so much money. So you will get a job at a local boutique and work part-time because you're bored and you get some money. That is an non-essential job. So if that's your situation, that person is not essential. That is the only job that I would ever classify as not essential. Every other job is essential.
And the ATF, but I mean, that's another story.
They still pay bills, though.
That's true.
I'm not happy that ATF exists. However, the individual person working for the ATF, they got to pay their bills.
I understand that.
So it's still essential. But that one boutique job, when the spouse makes millions, that's the one non-essential job. The rest are.
Yeah. Stay-at-home housewife job. That's what I'm talking about.
The one that's bored. Well, I said spouse. Some women make big cash too. That could be a husband.
Right?
You never know. Women make big cash too. I don't know. Depends.
That's true. That was sexist of me to assume. I'm still trying to get me.
You don't live in New York City. I've learned to gender neutralize my language.
Oh, that's true. You guys have to deal with the whole gender neutral thing. That's not
Absolutely.
really a.
So you are in New York City?
I'm sorry, but yes. I accept your condolences.
I'm sorry for you.
Yes, I accept your condolences. In fact, AOC is my congressperson.
Oof.
I live in Nebraska where, people are polite and nice and stuff. So
one of my friends just moved.
I don't know what those words mean. What does that mean? Polite and nice. I don't know what that means. I'm
sorry.
Oh,
let me squeeze right past you.
One of my friends just moved from Omaha to New York City. I think he's one of the only people that's moved to New York in the last.
Why? Okay, look.
He's trying to be a comedian up there.
I hope the reason why he's going there is because he has a mental illness and that's the only place he can be treated. I hope that's the reason. Because he has a mental illness and that's the only place he can be treated. Then yes.
I'm glad.
Otherwise, what the hell is he thinking?
He's trying to be a professional comedian up there.
Oh, sadly, that is, it's we are still the capital of that. The one thing that's going to save New York City, right? New York City is still going to struggle horribly, and a lot of the wealth people are leaving. But the one thing that keeps New York City going is still the culture. Mm-hmm. We are still, people think it's the center of finance, and it is. Mm-hmm. However, that's losing. That's going away because back in the day, everything followed finance, right? And so no matter what you were doing, you had to have something in New York, some connection in New York, because there was finance in New York. Everything followed finance. Those days are over. Now everything follows tech.
Yeah.
So now, and tech is basically San Francisco and Austin. Mm-hmm. So everything's going to those two, and maybe Miami or Orlando. One of those two cities in Florida is going to be a big city. I'm not sure which one yet, but it'll be one of those two. And that they're all going there. So that's changing right now. But when it comes to culture, you want to be anything from a comedian to a classical pianist to an actor to insert thing here. If you're in the arts, you want to be in the ballet, New York is the place to go. It's actually the right move. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's an entertainment hub, and LA's got the same thing because a lot of people are fleeing LA too.
No, you are incorrect. No.
Well, for comedians,
LA is pop culture.
Oh, okay. I see.
New York is pop culture and all types of culture to include pop culture. LA is just pop culture. You're not going to LA to be a classically trained, cellist. No,
sure.
That's New York.
Sure.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
Trained ticket in the. Never mind.
Well, you can do that in New York too. Yeah. That's both. That's shared.
I think we're prevalent over in LA. They've got the whole syphilis thing going on. Whatever. I don't know.
I mean, it's everywhere.
Hey, Omaha is STD capital of the world. We claim that here.
Is that true?
Yes, 100% true. 100% true. Yep. That's.
But it is. Most of that is young people. I'd say half of it's young people, half of it is elderly.
Stop excusing your STDs. Stop excusing.
Half of it is the elderly community in the community homes not using proper, barrier methods to us.
Well, they're probably figuring why bother.
That is right, Dan.
Why bother, right? If you're already if you're in your 60s, you're not worried about getting pregnant. So whatevs, right?
That's the
Yeah,
move.
but if you're being passed around, I
Yeah,
can't believe I'm talking to
That's
Larry
true.
Sharpe
I
about
guess some people are being
STDs.
passed around. It's true.
that's
Look, as long as it's voluntary, I fall back to you do you, right?
Right.
As long as
Right.
If you don't mind being passed around, good luck.
Good luck. Use a condom.
Yes, good
yeah,
luck.
probably do that. But you know,
You have
it's,
enough to worry about at your age.
That's-
Take STDs off the
That's good.
table.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's but yeah, no. So I wanted to ask you. So you ran for governor 4 years ago. So what have you learned that you're doing differently than you were 4 years ago?
Damn, is it already four?
Everything. No, I'm kidding. So some of you may not know this. I'm going to tell you a quick story about 2018. I made a mistake running my campaign in 2018 in that I ran it like a business, and you should not run a campaign like a business. That is a mistake. Campaigns are passion projects, not businesses. You've got to run them as such. And I learned that lesson too late in the campaign. I also learned that I had to be able to be a lot more proactive in messaging than reactive in messaging. I wound up messaging heavily to the right because the right listened to me, because my state's a deep blue state. And generally speaking, the opposite of what the state is will hear you more, right? So if you're in Alabama or South Carolina, Democrats will hear you more than the Republicans will. If you're in California or New York, Republicans will hear you more. So, because we're the party against whoever's in charge, right? So those people will come to us. So I had so many people from the right listening to me and talking to me that I began to communicate very well with the right and the right side of our issues. I wasn't very good communicating to the left. I got better at the end of our campaign, but it was too late. The damage was already done. So by the time the end of the campaign came, I was much better talking to the left. And my proof of this is I got Yang's party, the Forward Party, to back me in this election. Oh, yeah. So I'm running as a libertarian, also as a Forward Party candidate. Yeah. So I'm also a forwardist. I am both. And in New York State, we have what's called fusion voting, which means I can literally be on multiple lines listed twice, and all of the votes all count towards me. That's very special in New York State. So I will literally have more than one line. So yes, and that Forward is obviously a left-leaning party, and they've backed me. So I've learned my lesson from 2018 and communicating better to the left to where we do overlap, not just to the right, which was just easier for me. Mm-hmm, so I was just doing what was easier. So that's number one. Number two, I have a team that I started earlier. I'm better at fundraising, which I raised $500,000 last time I ran, which is great. But I also was able to build out a bunch of teams, right? For those of you who may be listening who don't know, I got 2% of the vote, which in New York State is amazing.
Yep.
Overall, not so great. 2% not great. But it is the most we ever got. I multiplied the last guy's total by 6. That's how much I got. So he didn't even get 1%. So I got 2% of the vote, and that was enough to get us ballot access in the party. So what I always say is, people always say, Larry, you want them on top of the ticket, bottom of the ticket. I always say both, because top of the ticket gets us press, but has the least chance of victory. But bottom of the ticket, least chance of press, but most chance of victory. So how do you do the right thing? Which is what I've always been saying forever. And that is, top of the ticket runs, gains press, then gives it to the bottom of the ticket, and we win. That happened. 2019, I crossed the state again. And I support local candidates once we have ballot access. We got 107 victories. We went from 0 libertarians to 107 in New York State. So what I said, I then proved. And then New York State said, what? No. And then in the budget, wrote a rule that ended ballot access for us. I'm not joking.
I'm so shocked.
We're no longer a party. All those people are no longer libertarians. We're all gone. We lost ballot access, all gone. They just said, no. And we said, you can't do that. We'll sue you. And they said, sue. And we did. And we said, this is not fair. And they said, yeah, you're right. But I'm not making this up. I'm saying this publicly. This is true what happened. He's like, yeah, you're right. But it's expensive because we want to publicly finance all of our elections. And if we have too many parties, it's too expensive. So no, even though it's unfair, we don't care. You're expensive. I'm not joking. That is literally in the record.
Jesus.
What
The
a
judge was
shitty
like, no, too expensive. And we were like,
what?
so our right to vote and such is if it's too expensive, we don't get it. And he was basically like, well, yeah, bye. And done. So now what they did is we had to get 15,000 signatures across New York State in about, I think it was 8 weeks, was it? Or 12 weeks? I forgot what time period it was. They decided, oh, no, you need to get 45,000 in 5 weeks. So now, with your 45,000 signatures in 5 weeks, literally no one can do it except me. Why can I do it? Because I'm already polling at 6% in the latest 2 Zogby polls. Already at 6%. And I haven't really started running yet. I mean, I am running, but I haven't hit the ground yet because I haven't got signatures yet. I'm focusing all on petitioning, obviously, which is what I should be doing, right? So I'm already polling at 6%. I already have a following. I've already raised 6 figures. And I can take a year off. I'm lucky enough that I can take a year off and not work. Who else can do that?
Right. I couldn't.
Nobody else can do that. Who else already has? We have 62 counties. I already have 30 county affiliates that I built from the last 4 years. So half of my counties already have affiliates in them, right? And I've already raised 6 figures. And I'm already popular enough to where I'm at 6%. And I already have a team. Again, who else can do that? It's me or nobody. That's right. And I hate that. It shouldn't have been that way. What I wanted to do was fix it to where I didn't have to run again. I wanted to make it to where that I could build up the farm team, that the farm team would be ready to rock and roll, that we'd have ballot access. That didn't happen. So now I have to do this. So I'm focusing on that. It's going to cost me it's going to cost me $100,000 to $200,000 to get all the signatures. I have to average 2,000 signatures per day for 35 days straight.
And not only
that'll
does it
get me about 70,000 signatures, and I'll probably not get challenged enough with 70,000 signatures.
Not only does that cost a ton of money, I mean, those are hours you can have people banging on doors, making phone calls. I mean, you name it.
Yes.
So what is the best strategy you've found for collecting a bunch of signatures in a short amount of time? Is that door knocking? Is that...
I don't know how to do that stuff.
Well, I know that
I'm a candidate. I'm a candidate.
I know you don't know how they do it. You have somebody who takes care of it.
No,
Okay.
You can't do it all.
I have to build out a team of literally hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
I've never worked on a campaign that big.
I have an org chart.
Yeah.
Yes, I have an org chart, right? I have to build out a team. I wasn't playing in 2018. I had the largest campaign of any third party. It wasn't even close. And the worst part is, you know who ignored me? Libertarians. Totally dissed me, totally ignored me, never asked for my help, never won anything. You know who didn't? Everybody else who wanted to run. Everybody else who was considering running independent called me up.
Wow.
The people from Starbucks, remember that guy from Starbucks? His team called me up. A couple other people I don't want to say who. Yes.
Oh, okay.
His team called me up. Yeah. Because they're like, he's done it. Why don't we ask him? You think libertarians would? No. They don't care. They didn't call. They're asking for help. Nothing. But the people who actually realized what I had achieved, they called me up. The Republicans are like, hey, Larry, you want to run on our line next time? Yeah. They don't think I'm great. Except my own people. They're like, hell with that Larry Sharpe guy. They don't care.
That's crazy.
Well, the biggest, what people don't realize, New York State is the hardest state right now to get ballot access. However, it is, without question, the battleground state. If I do well in New York State, it affects the entire country.
Sure.
They're dropping tens of thousands of dollars in states that you can't even name the person who's running in the state.
Sure. No, for sure.
But are you going to put that kind of money into my campaign? I hope so. Because whatever they do in that state is going to be nice, and that's good. But if I come in a high third, it changes the entire nation. The panacea for all of our problems in this movement, not movement, that's wrong, in this party, the party movement is separate. The panacea for this party is a popular candidate that people will think maybe I should run, that will draw talent into the party. That's the panacea. That solves all the problems. I'm hoping I can be one of those guys. If not me, then I can spur the other person who will be. Because the team that I build in this year in 2022, that's the team you can have in 2024. You can have them. I won't be running in 2024. Somebody will. I'm going to have a team who knows how to do this.
That's the thing about Larry. He's generous. If you like his ideas, he is happy for you to take them and run with them and implement them, right? You had so many great ideas. Like the whole thing with the privatization of like the bridges and the toll.
Not privatization. Don't say that. You make the left get mad.
All right.
We are leasing naming rights.
That's right. And so they would also have to take care of the upkeep and everything of that. And there would be no more tolls. Is that right?
No more tolls. Yes. All of my policies always help 3 types of people: working poor, middle class, entrepreneurs. I always support those 3 types of people, because if you can support these 3 types better, you have a better world. Right? You have a better world. So yes, no tolls. When it's left versus right. Right doesn't want taxes. Left wants big business paying more for infrastructure. Okay, here's your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, works for both.
You get both.
And I mean,
big business is paying and no new taxes. Life is good.
From a business perspective, I mean, these companies are willing to throw millions a year to buy the name for an arena that
billions.
Oh yeah, to buy it, I mean, buy the name for an arena that people go to 2-3 times a week. Imagine if you could buy a bridge or lease the name to a bridge that everyone drives over every single day on their way to work. You know, it's just marketing.
It says it gets 500 times a day.
Mentioned hundreds of times every single day in traffic reports.
Yep.
Not just that, it's now on Google Maps as you travel. It's on Google Maps and whatever else you're using. Not just that, New York City is a place where everyone's doing all their movies and TV shows for Netflix and for Hulu and all those places. So you got your name on that bridge. It's in all the TV shows. You get product placement for free. I know this will work, and they would actually pay $100 million a year. How do I know that? Because when I brought it up, bankers were asking me how long the lease was for.
Huh.
Wow.
They were literally saying, well, and I was like, it's minimum 10 years. We'll go 12 or 15. I don't mind, but minimum 10. And we were talking about 10-year leases. At $100,000 a year, you front load the contract, because in case they screw up and you got to remove the contract, you get paid up front. So you front load the contract, right? So it's like half up front and then tiered down, right? So now they have to renew again and then renew again. Or if they screw up, you still get the money up front. Doesn't matter.
Huh. Okay, so what are the other big running points you have going this time around? Because that one was so amazing.
There's another one with the MTA again. I bring up the MTA because the MTA in New York City is a disaster. It is literally violent. It is dirty. It is terrible. And it's expensive now too. And it's losing money. Like there's no tomorrow. We literally have to write a check of $6 to $7 billion to it every single year because it can't even pay its own bills. It's a disaster. So
and that's a subway system, right?
Correct.
Metro Transit.
Now remember, our subway system does at its peak, over 4 million rides a day. At its peak, over 4 million, one day, right? That's how much it's used. At the end of the day, though, at night, they shut down the system for about every other or every third train because people aren't using it in the middle of the night. So I said, middle of the night, why don't we run freight trains in it? So we'll bring freight into the city at night. We don't change the amount of trains that are going for passenger, but freight. And what I get in return is always, Larry, you can't do that. The tracks aren't made and the tunnels aren't made for freight. You're right. So why don't we have companies like Home Depot and Amazon and FedEx? Why don't they build out new tracks? And we can they build it out. It's now theirs. We can name the lines after them. Not just that, they're going to have hubs. We'll name the hubs after them. They get the hubs. They literally drop the Amazon's marketing budget in 1 year is $10 billion. Just the marketing budget for that one company. Give me $2 billion to help me fix this up. We'll get a couple billion from FedEx, couple billion from so-and-so. We get a brand new one. Now, you might say, well, it'll take forever to build. No, it won't, because the government's not building it. They are. I'm not joking.
It'll get built in a timely manner, for fuck's sake.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Amazon's not going to put up with the garbage we put up with.
No.
They're not going to.
No.
They're not.
They want
that
shit
gets actually
done.
built. Correct. It gets built. They build it. We don't get involved. Now, unions get mad. Okay, great. Then we can have a certain percentage of workers that are agreed in the contract to be unionized. So we'll have a certain percentage of workers. It's not going to be all of them. That's not how it works. But you'll get a certain percentage that'll be unionized. It's fine. So you'll get the union gets something. Everyone else gets something. Amazon gets their stuff built. Now we get a brand new system in a couple of years that everyone can have, and it's cheap. It's cheap, it's usable, and freight comes in. If freight comes in, guess what else happens? We don't have that many trucks having to come into the city either. Less wear and tear on the city. Less wear and tear, less noise pollution, less physical pollution,
traffic.
less trucks coming into the city, less traffic, right? All of that goes away because now we're bringing freight in to the city. And again, no extra taxes. No extra taxes at all. So yes. Now I have
amazing
the
ideas.
I have the big one I have now. This is the big one now. And the big one I have now is because our budget has gone up in the last year by about $40 billion. And we've lost about 500,000 people, which means we're in trouble. So what's going to happen is either we're going to raise taxes, obviously, but at one point we can't. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to want to using law enforcement as a profit center and have fines and fees all over the place because we got to pay for it somehow. That's how New York State works. So instead, I want to create what I'm calling the VAT, not the value add tax, you libertarians. The VAT is going to be instead the Voluntary Assistance Trust. It is basically a trust for New York State. It is basically going to be the equivalent of a wealth fund like Singapore has or like Norway has, that kind of thing. We're going to take a chunk of New York State's tax revenue, put it into the fund, borrow against it to raise the money. Within 3 years, probably within 2 years, we can raise about $900 billion. It can be probably the second or third largest wealth fund in the world within about 2 to 3 years. We'll back it by New York State revenue. Once we do that, the first thing we do with that is we begin to change how we fund education. Why does that matter? This fixes multiple things. This is the biggest one of them all. Within the first 2 years, we can have enough to probably take care of education. Maybe 3 years, but probably 2 years can take care of education. Education is about $60 billion in New York State. I know it's a lot. Our budget's $220 billion. Only California and 20 countries, I think 19 countries, have a bigger budget than New York State. That's how much money we spend. By the way, Florida has more people than we have and half our budget. That's how bad we are. Yes. That's how bad and ineffective and horrible we are. So first thing we do is we then do something that's important. We pay for education directly from New York State. Albany pays for education per student, per kid, per district. Right now, New York State pays about $29,000 per kid, the highest in the nation. No one's higher than us. And we rank anywhere from 25th to 37th out of 50 states. So we spend the most and get the least. Again, right on brand with New York. Perfect. Yeah. So instead now we just write checks directly from New York State to the school districts. $18,000, $19,000 per kid, give or take. It goes per district by default. More kids in the district, more money, less kids, less money. Wait a minute, Larry. Are you saying the money follows the kid? Yes, I am. I'm saying the money follows the kid. I'm also saying we give a $4,000 credit for anybody who wants to either homeschool or go to private school. Either one. Guess how much private school is going to cost per year? $4,000, because that's the government money. That's what it'll cost.
Right.
Guess how much it'll cost the homeschool people now? $4,000. That's how much it'll cost. So now we'll do that. And all of a sudden now I'm providing by default money following the kid and that. And people might go, well, Larry, people won't like that. Well, they will. Because if I do that, most of school right now is being paid for by property tax, school tax. If I pay from the state, there's a need for school tax. School tax goes away. When school tax goes away, the average New Yorker will cut their property tax by 50%. Gone.
Wow.
50% property tax decrease in New York State. Rents stabilize, which means now the youth can stay. Not just that, older people who are retiring, who already bought their house, they're not priced out of the market. They can stay. Instead of spending their pensions in Florida, which is what they're doing now, they can actually spend their pensions in New York State. If you're retired and listening to me, I would like you to spend your pension in my state and not in Florida. Particularly because right now, New York State is paying for the pensions. Our tax dollars still go into the pension fund. So we're paying taxes that are being spent in Florida. I would like to pay those taxes and being spent in New York State back into our economy. That would be nice. So now that happens. All of a sudden, everything changes. But I'll go one step further. If you do that, there's going to be no more money coming with grants from New York State. Once that happens, you don't need those administrators. You begin to fire administrators. I don't fire them. Local communities do. I'm not firing anybody. Local communities will. How do I know that? Because the average administrator in New York State makes almost $200,000 a year. The average teacher makes 80. Yeah.
Whoa.
And there are literally school districts in New York State where there are more administrators than teachers.
Oh, it's a joke.
It's
that
so
everywhere.
top
It's a
heavy.
joke.
Yep. They'll all
Colleges
be
are
going
bad for
away
it, too.
because I don't need
Yep.
them anymore.
No.
Now, I also want to add on top of this, this is my older plan, which is the K through 10 plan. We no longer have 12 grades in high school anymore. We now have 10. Why? Why do we want to get rid of that? Because 12th grade is useless.
For sure.
And I'm the one who will say it right to your face. Everyone else doesn't say that. Oh, school's so important. No, it isn't. School's garbage. Our school system is absolute a steaming pile of shit. It's embarrassingly bad. We should be ashamed of our school system. And I am. Most aren't. Yeah, most people aren't, but I am. It's embarrassingly bad. 12th grade for the vast majority of kids is study hall, video games, smoking weed.
I can vouch.
Correct. Yes, that is what it is for most 12th graders. So stop that. Instead, after 10th grade, take a test at 16, whether that was private school, public school, homeschool, I don't care. Take a test. You pass the test, you have a high school diploma. Life is good. However, I'm not done because in New York State, in our Constitution, education's a right. So we have to, by Constitution, pay for grades 1 through 12. That's required. Okay, I'll pay for grades 11 and 12, 100%. I'm going to pay for it the same way that I had when I got out of the Marine Corps. I got out of the Marine Corps. They gave me the GI Bill. You got X thousands of dollars. I think it was 10 years, to pay, whatever it was. I forgot what it was. I don't remember. I'd already got my degree when I was in the Marine Corps, so I didn't actually use it. I already did it when I was in the Marine Corps. So anyway, that's what I had. So I'm going to say, great, you're 16. You got $20,000. You got 5 years to use it. Good luck. You got 4 options. Option 1, go to trade school. You want to become a plumber, you want to become a technician, electrician, go trade school, enjoy. You don't want to do that. You're a super smart kid. You're that kid who gets hundreds in all the tests. Great. Go right to college. Go right now. Go get an associate's degree. You're not either of those two things, but you think you want to go to college. Great. Go to prep school. Go to prep school so that you're ready for college. Right now, the average kid, it takes them 6 years to graduate college, average. And they come out with $50,000 to $100,000 in debt, if not more.
Insane.
Yes.
Because they're not properly.
It's dumb. It's our fault.
I call it,
but they're not prepped for college. Nobody in high school told me how to study properly. I was so ill prepared for college. It was ridiculous. I had
100%.
no business going straight out of high school from my high school
100%.
anyway.
But imagine if you had gone to a 2-year prep school before you went to college.
Yeah, I call it the educational industrial complex, man. The public schools funnel these kids straight to the colleges. And they tell I got crap because I got tattoos when I was young, and I was told that I was going to regret these tattoos. But at the same time, by the same people that were telling me that I had to know exactly what I wanted to do when I was 18 years old and be willing to commit 6 figures worth of debt to it. I'm like, that's insane to me. You know?
Yes.
I didn't know what I wanted to have for lunch at 18 years old.
Do you know why they do that? Because of government funds.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Federal funds go into the schools based upon their placement into colleges.
Yep. Exactly.
That's why everyone does that. But my K through 10 plan will immediately get the ire from the federal government, and they will stop. They will punish me by not giving me my $6 billion. Yeah. I won't care because I've just cut all the cash out of it. I won't need their money. So I don't care. So they'll say, Larry, we're going to punish you, Governor Sharpe, and we're not going to give you $6 billion. I'm going to go, good, because now I don't require your administrators to keep track of all the garbage you want me to keep track of so I can get your money, so we can fire them all, and we can get real guidance counselors to help us to do things that will help kids. Thank you for nothing. Have a nice day. They then go away, which is what I want. But most important piece of all of this, you can say, well, Larry, what about these schools? I'm 100% sure that they will absolutely open up a bunch of prep schools, a bunch of associate programs, a bunch of trade schools. You know how much they're going to cost for 2 years? $20,000.
Yep.
That's the amount you're going to get.
You got guaranteed money. It's a blank check, baby. Yeah.
Banks will always fund that because banks love one thing more than anything else: guaranteed government money. Yep. There is nothing banks love more than that. Yep. The second thing they love is transaction fees. That's their second favorite thing. Their number one favorite thing is government money. They love that. So when they can get government money, they will fund all these schools. They will do all those things. There'll be a bunch of things getting built up. All that will happen. But here's the best part of all of what I just said. When now all of a sudden the kids stop picking what school they're going to go to, where's the bullying? The bullying goes away. The violence goes away. All the problems with kids goes away because the kid who doesn't want to be in high school isn't in high school. he's in trade school, or he's got a job, he's just working. We'll change our laws that he can just start working at 16. He'll be doing what he wants to do. Imagine if you're a teacher, 11th, 12th grade, and every kid who's in your class wants to be in your class.
Yep.
Changes everything.
For sure.
Makes your life a lot easier, huh?
Yes. Happier kids, happier teachers, happier parents, more successful students.
Well, yeah, my brother
around.
actually took place in a pilot program like that here in Omaha. So essentially 11 through 12, he took this. It was a fee of like $250. He had an associate's degree finished by the time he graduated high school in 2 years. So I mean, that's huge. That's all of your gen eds.
Awesome.
I mean, that's leading into. So he was able to go and get his bachelor's degree before he was old enough to buy a beer. I mean, it's
100%.
like,
Oh my God.
22 years, in college.
I'm doing it with my daughter now. My daughter is 17. She's gonna finish her first year of college this June.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Already doing it.
yeah.
Doing it. I'm with you. And she's not even. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, if you want to talk about student debt, the amount of money that would save people is incredible. It goes without saying. I mean, so much money is truly wasted in college when a lot of the times you're taking these English and math classes that you took the exact same thing a year ago. It's the exact same material, or just a continuation.
Well, and you don't want or need to go into your preferred profession. Like why are all of these courses demanded?
I'm not going to say where I work or what I do, but I work in the financial sector, and I've used high school math 0 times in my life. Never. It's worthless. English 0 times. Like it's, and I have an adult job. I'm not digging ditches or working at Dollar Tree. It's.
Well, those are adult jobs too.
Well, there's certain people that'll come at you. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got a thinking job.
Yeah.
Yes. But what you mean? You're a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get it. Yes.
Yeah.
And look, when it comes to certain professions, you probably should go to college, right? You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer.
Absolutely.
You probably should go to college.
Hopefully.
But not everybody wants to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not just that. Why are we making college for the 19-year-old? College should be for anybody, anytime, whenever they decide to make a change, right? So if I'm 50 and I want to become an engineer, I can go to college at 50. Why do I have to go to college at 19?
Yeah.
Maybe at 19, I'd rather dig ditches. Maybe then that's fun and cool, and I get extra cash so I can impress the girls when I'm 19. Maybe that's what I care about, right? And maybe I don't, but it's fine. I'll go dig ditches, get all muscly, and get money and impress the women. Great. And then by the time I'm 40, I'm like, this is old. I shouldn't do this. I got a family and stuff. Let me go become an engineer. And then I go to school and become an engineer and sit behind a desk and get fat. It's fine. Whatever. It's all good.
That's the move. That's the American dream.
I think the reason they push it for the younger is because younger minds are easier to meld. And that's what I see going on at the university level, especially in the last 10 years. It's become more apparent to me.
Yeah,
learning
I agree.
That's
he's not wrong.
No,
He's not
right?
wrong.
I used Excel so much. I became an Excel expert at my last job. I learned so much just professionally on the job.
Corporate America, I mean, if you do your job for long enough, you can kind of fall into a 6-figure job doing data entry into Excel. It's really not. It's not that hard, man. If that's your goal, that, it ain't that hard. But yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Continue. My bad.
No. Look, I could talk for hours on this stuff. There's the advantage that I have here is I've been doing this in New York State for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
All I ever do is create policy, and I will give you my advice for anyone who's running a third party. You have to have policy. Policy is the only way you have any chance of really making any impact. If you don't have policy, people will simply put you into a left-right paradigm and go, you're basically that. And then they'll like you or hate you based upon that. And then they'll tell you, why do you do that? You should just vote the red or blue team. So if they think you're more Republican than Democrat, they'll say, just run Republican. What are you doing? You're splitting the vote. If they think you're more Democrat, what are you doing? Vote Democrat. You're splitting the vote. If you don't have policies, you're not going to be able to move forward because the other two parties don't have policy.
No,
I'm not
recycled.
joking.
It's recycled.
They have ideology.
Yeah.
They don't have policy. They have ideology. Correct. Their policy is this. I'm going to give you their policy. Other guy bad.
Yeah,
Done.
literally.
Vote for me, other guy bad.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know,
Yes.
they've got their buzzwords. You know, the Democrats, it's protecting our democracy. The Republicans is critical race theory. It's the same shit's recycled over and over and over again, just to
Absolutely.
rile their base
It's
up.
just other guy bad. You get the emails. If your emails come from the left, it's you got to save our democracy. You know, stop Trumpism. Give me money and I'll stop the Trumpists or whatever they're gonna say, right?
Yeah, the guy running against me is going to be horrible for our state or our whatever, and he's going to do all these awful things. You've got to vote for me. And just,
and if you get it from the right, it's patriots, stop the socialists from taking over the world. It's that one, right? So it doesn't, but they don't say, neither of them says, I have a plan to make your life better. No.
Right? You should be talking about yourself if you're a candidate. I mean, right?
Something.
They're getting more aggressive. I got a political poll text the other day, and I try to take them, you know, just to see what it's all about. And it was so biased. It said, will you support Democrat or will you vote for the Democratic or the Republican candidate? And the option was Democratic, and I want so-and-so to starve or something. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a legitimate poll.
Yes,
what are we doing?
Yes. So, will you hate America and vote for this person to ensure that elderly people drop dead in the streets?
Yeah.
Or will you vote for this person who loves America and will give everybody a unicorn with a leprechaun?
Well,
don't
steal Vermin Supreme's talking points. Okay?
There we go. Yes, exactly.
Leave the guy alone.
Yes.
I do like the oral hygiene part of his campaign. I'm 100% on board with that.
My favorite part is when someone said to him, how are you going to pay for the ponies? And he went, they're free. And that was it. That was his answer. Well, you got to pay with? No. They're free.
They're free ponies. I said they were free.
They're free. What's wrong with you? They're free.
It's like,
I just thought brilliant.
Anyone,
so good.
Like if you've ever sat down and talked to him, he's such an intelligent and well-spoken individual, and he's such a great actor with the whole thing. He commits to the bit, and I admire the shit out of that.
I lovely just looked at the person like they were stupid and went, it's free. I said that. What's wrong with you? It's like, how can you beat that? You can't beat that. It's so good. So good.
No, that's for real. That's so I don't want to circle all the way back to the beginning, but you said you had made some strides communicating with people on the left more than you did in the previous election. What I've found with a lot of my friends, so I've always said I have conservative friends and liberal friends. I have conservative views and liberal views. I'm cooler talking about the liberal views of the conservative friends and vice versa, because the liberals that I know, and I think this is probably a solid blanket statement, tend to have more of a strict purity test. So, I mean, what have you done how have you found to break that mold with the purity test?
Yeah.
Because you do have to check a lot of boxes with them.
Two things that I deal with. One of them is, generally speaking, when the right is fighting me, the right comes at me.
Yeah.
Which is actually easier for me. I like when they come at me, right? Because then I can do my judo, put them down. So I like when they come at me.
Telling you what they think is wrong with you.
Oh, they come right at me. Right at me. So, and I love that. I've been yelled at so many times in the campaign. I can't tell you how many times I've been yelled at. I get yelled at all the time. And I always tell people, if you can't get yelled at, don't do this.
Right.
Because you will get yelled at. So I'm happy when they come at me. So they tend to come at me. The left tends to ignore me. They dismiss me, which is harder for me because I can't respond if you just won't talk to me, if I'm just not worth talking to. So the left tends to do that. So how to get around that? I focus on outcomes. It's the number one thing. I focus on outcomes, and I never use language that turns people off right away. Like that's you said, privatize. And I went, that's like the second you say privatize, any Democrat goes, you're a bad person. I can't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can't talk to you.
Well, because you want 3-year-olds in factories, and
that's correct.
And no health code.
Once you say privatize, you want no health codes. You want women burning to death in sewing machine factories. I mean, that's
because all private business owners are just evil
monsters.
Correct. Who just want to make a buck. Okay, got it.
Yes. And you can be mad at that if you want to, or you can try to turn them.
Okay, so what is the better way to approach that instead of saying privatization? What do you say?
Well, what do you want to achieve from privatizing?
Well, like we were talking about, like the bridges and the tunnels and the renaming.
Then I start with, I want to get big business to pay for our infrastructure.
Okay.
And they go, yeah, me too. I know. And then I go to the problems. You know, the problem is then they write the laws and they get around it. They do. Evil business people. You're right. They get around the laws. So every time we try to tax them, it doesn't work. Yeah. I have an idea. What if we, and now they go, that's how you do it. You focus on the outcome, because the outcome is almost always the same outcome, right? As a general rule, and it's very general, I know, the left and libertarians tend to want the same outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
We just have a very different way of getting there.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine that in your head when you're talking to people on the left, they tend to want the same outcome that we want. They want better schools. So do we.
Yeah.
How do we get there? Well, they think heavy bureaucracy, lots of unionization, destroy the school system, make lots of rules. So the way to get there, totally opposite. But we want the same outcome. So start the conversation with the outcome.
Gotcha. With the solution. Everybody knows what the
outcome,
problem.
not a solution.
Okay.
The final answer that you want, right? What's the outcome I want?
And then you work.
And once they agree with that, now we start walking back to get a solution to get there.
Okay. Yeah, because
yes.
my biggest pet peeve is, people running or whatever. Oh, we've got this issue and this issue, and this is a problem.
They're great at pointing out problems.
Yeah, everybody knows what the problems are. We're not stupid. Neither are your constituents. Talk about solutions.
Yeah,
how are you going to fix it?
That's what's driven me the most nuts about the Biden administration is, I mean, I can't tell you how many times both of them have gone on TV and gone, gas prices are out of control. Groceries are 12% higher. I'm like, great. If you're not going to tell me what your plan is to fix it, stop talking about it.
Yes.
I'm dealing with it way more than you.
Let's talk about football, because this isn't working.
Yeah,
let's do that.
They might as well go up and talk about do like an NFL mock draft or something. Because
let's do a mock draft. It'd even be more exciting than what you're going to tell me about. So yes, do it.
Exactly.
Come on.
Literally,
I'm in.
I mean, it'd be just as useful as in terms of solving the problem. So
100%. If we did a little fantasy baseball, it'd be just as effective. the same outcome will happen.
Exactly.
I might win some money. That's about the only thing. I might win some money in the fantasy baseball league. But otherwise, nothing else is going to change. I agree with you.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to hear Cammy cackle anymore, I'll be happy. Oh my God. Something seriously.
She sounds like she has been on an acid trip for the last 2 or 3 years. She's got like HPV.
No, she can't believe what happened.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
She
can't believe what happened.
No answers.
She is completely out of her depth. It's not even close. She's blaming the world. She's totally out of her depth. She actually can't believe what's happened. That's the issue. That's reality.
Yeah.
She just can't. She's like, is this? So like, if this guy who's like 105 drops dead, I'm the president?
Yeah.
How really?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are the cameras? Where are the cameras?
Exactly.
She can't believe it. And I really believe she cannot believe that. She believes that. So literally he has a heart attack. I'm the president. Yeah.
It's a sad state of fucking affairs, my friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And with as much of a bumbling moron as he is, she's a genuinely evil person. When you talk about
way worse.
Bad people
way
in office.
Worse than him.
Yeah,
way worse than him.
It's like the liberals that wanted to impeach Trump, and now you have conservatives want to impeach Biden. I'm like, guys, they're worse than what you stood. Pence and Harris are worse, arguably.
Unless somehow you can impeach both of them at the same time, don't you dare do that.
Well, then Pelosi takes over.
Then we get.
I would rather have Pelosi than have Kamala.
You're right.
If I gotta choose,
because
Pelosi doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
She
wants to read Bono poems. Yeah.
she just can I just keep using the stock market to make millions? Yes. Yeah. Good. Then we're good. That's it. That's all I care about. Yeah. She doesn't get any bills passed. She doesn't do anything.
No.
All she does is go, Republicans evil, and what should I invest in? That's all she cares about.
Literally.
Me and my hubby got some insider trading to do. I got to go, guys. I got a buzz to get and some illegal funds to manage.
100%. I got other stuff to do. We'll just let this president thing roll. See you guys in a couple years. And I would deal with that. I would take Pelosi. I would take her.
I mean, for
Okay.
people that went, I'm just the Harris support just baffles me. For people that talked about
There's
how
no Harris support.
well, I mean, it's voting for their ticket. Excuse me. For people
Okay,
people
thank
that
you.
talked
Yes,
about
there's no Harris.
abolish the police. She is by definition a bad cop. I mean, that's when you talk
Well,
about
The worst fucking cop
covering
ever.
up evidence that would exonerate innocent people. I
Okay.
mean, she's
On
done everything
death
but shoot a
row?
guy in the back as he ran away. You know,
let's be clear about this. People didn't vote for Biden because they loved Biden or because they loved Harris.
they hated Trump.
That's not the reason. They hated Trump.
Hated
Mhm.
Trump.
The
with a
one
passion.
thing that Trump does very well, he is unite Democrats against him. He's really good at that. And what Democrats are really good at is anytime something goes wrong, Trump did it. Done.
Yeah.
Now it's okay, right? The worst part for Democrats is if Trump doesn't run in 2024, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So
If
we were
he
talking about
runs-
this. We
if
all
he
are for
runs-
sure.
Democrats will come out in droves.
Yep.
They will come out like there's no tomorrow. They
I
will
agree.
be rushing. They'll be standing in line for hours. Orange man is bad.
Yep.
And that's
They'll be
all
ready
that
to show
matters.
those IDs then, maybe.
They will get IDs. They'll make fake IDs. They will do whatever. The amount of people in New York City who I know who are Republicans and hate Trump blows my mind.
That's and you know, it worked for him in 2020, but I really do feel like they kind of blew their load on Trump because they've let every Republican candidate ever they've painted as the Antichrist, right?
Yes.
Now, it's going to be hard to whoever runs in 24, 28, et cetera, so on. It's going to be hard to paint that guy as, you know, the next Hitler, the next milquetoast Republican governor that gets nominated when they've already had Trump. I mean, it'd have to be.
Watch out. I tell you, if
They
it's
can't
a
all be the
DeSantis-
devil.
If it's a DeSantis Gabbard ticket, watch out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh
Watch
my
out.
God, what a killer ticket.
Watch
That'd be tough to
out.
beat.
That's a hard ticket to beat. That's
Any
a tough
chance?
ticket to beat.
Any chance we see Larry Sharpe 2024 for president?
As president, no. Zero. I can't. People ask why I didn't run in 2020. Because I was broke from 2018.
Yeah.
I remember to do an actual campaign, you can't work if you're doing a statewide campaign. You can't have a job. You can't make any impact.
No.
I haven't worked in 2-3 months. Oh, hold on. I haven't worked since November.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a salary in 3 months. So I don't get paid for this.
Yeah.
I just pay people. That's all I do. I just
The
make sure
checks
checks
just
go
going
out.
out.
Checks just go out. That's it. None coming to my house. So I just do that. And the last time, same thing. So I'm going to be broke after this is over. Last time when I was done, I was 6 figures in debt.
Oof.
Oh my God, Larry.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. Yep. So
You're not supposed to use your own money for campaigns, I thought.
I didn't use my own money. I had to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You weren't
didn't-
working.
I live in New York City.
Yeah.
I have a wife and 2 kids. My wife doesn't work. You can
Oof.
imagine my bills.
Oof.
So it wasn't that I used my own money. I
Okay,
just
good.
had to pay my bills
Gotcha.
without getting a salary. So I was 6 figures in debt at the end of 2018.
Yeah.
So
I have no kids, and mine does work, and I would still be in debt if I quit my
Thank
job
you.
for a year.
Yes.
So, like,
so you can imagine how much. So you can imagine, and this will happening at the end of this year, probably same thing.
yeah.
So I will not be financially ready. Not just that, I like my wife. I've had her for 20 years. I'd like to keep her.
Yeah.
So literally next month is our 20-year anniversary. I would like to keep my wife. So if I run for president, I'm not going to have a wife. I would like to keep her.
Understandable.
The odds of me running in 2024 are slim to none. Would I consider a VP slot? I would, because VP is basically support staff.
Yeah.
So I would consider taking the VP slot. I would, depending upon who's running. I'm open, and I was open to a VP slot in 2020.
Yeah.
That's why I ran with Judge Jim Gray. If Judge Jim Gray would have been the nominee, I would have been the VP without question. Because Judge Jim Gray wanted to run the same way I wanted to run. Nobody else did. And Judge Jim Gray is the only guy who actually asked me. I'm sorry. 2 people asked me. Not true. Judge Jim Gray asked me, and Vermin Supreme asked me.
Oh,
Yes. And
Yeah.
my response to Vermin Supreme was, how much money can you raise? And he laughed at me. And I said, then I'm going to say no. That's true. He laughed. I said, we're done then. That's it. But
Yeah.
But Judge Jim Gray wanted to run the way I would run, which is you have to run a presidential campaign, not 50 state. We do it every time, and it's so stupid. It never works. It can't work. I did the same thing in New York State. How did I do so well relatively in New York State? I went to areas where nobody else was. They picked me up in local news. I got some traction. People saw the traction. It went statewide. We must do the same thing in 2024. Running like 4 or 5 local states, small states that are kind of pro-libertarian-ish, that we can get into polls and get like 20, 30% in local polls. That becomes national news. Now people are following us. Now move the campaign nationally.
Yeah.
That's how it has to work. Anything else does not work, will not work. And no one seems to listen to me, even though I prove it. And libertarians don't listen to me.
So
people outside Libertarian Party listen to me. Libertarian Party never
crazy.
listen to me.
It's funny because I saw you speak years ago when you were here, and I've actually borrowed your strategy when you were campaigning as far as booking comedy shows, because I'm a stand-up comedian. So
there we go.
Everyone wants to book shows in the big cities, and I'm like, well, yeah, if a big city calls, I'll go do a show there. But if I go to Grand Island, Nebraska, there's nothing else going on Saturday night, so they're going to come see me, instead of going to the same bar and drinking. There's something new to do. So it's and it fucking works.
Yes.
I see more people in small towns than I do in big city shows. It's crazy.
Yes.
Like
I would go to a town, small town upstate New York, and the local newspaper would show up. People said, why would the paper show up? Because they have 2 choices. They can cover the cow escaping or Larry Sharpe comes to town.
Literally.
The cow's going to escape next week. So it's fine. We'll cover Larry Sharpe. Right? So they cover Larry Sharpe.
Literally.
And what people don't realize is local papers, they've been destroyed these last 5, 10, 20 years. So very often, a guy or gal who writes for a local paper, she also writes for 4 other papers. Sometimes same pen name, some different pen name, but she works for different papers. So if she writes the note for you, it goes in 3 or 4 different papers. Why does that matter? 2 reasons. Reason number 1, local papers are read by hardly anybody. However, the people who read them vote. Mm-hmm. If you read your local paper, you vote. So while I get a smaller audience, I get the right audience. If you actually read your local paper, you care, you vote. That's number 1. But number 2, every one of these local papers also has some type of website, some type of web presence, whatever that is. So they put it on the web. When they put it on the web, you now promote that on yours. 2 reasons why that's good. People outside of your state have no idea how big that paper is. They just see you getting local press. They go, my God, Larry's getting local press. I should send him money. You're right, you should. Now, of course, that begins to happen, right? So now, not just that, local paper goes out. That person also writes for 3 or 4 more local papers. That's 3 or more social media posts that I put out for press. Larry's getting press all over the joint. I got to send him money. Yes, you should. LarrySharpe.com/donate. You should. That's an accurate statement. So that begins to happen. But more important, if you have a big campaign that gets the word out, that local paper looks at their hit rate and realizes, when I cover Larry Sharpe, I get 2, 3, 4, 5 times the hit rate. Oh my God. I need to cover Larry Sharpe again.
Yep.
And they actually told me that. There's people who, when I just announced, I got press, local press, when I announced my exploratory committee.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And the reason they remember me from last time, and they know that when I do it, I promote their stuff and they get a bunch of hits. They didn't do it because they cared about me. They did it to market for themselves. Clicks. And I was like, good. Yes.
Beneficial relationship. Yeah.
100%.
Mutually beneficial. Yeah.
So I promote their stuff. They get lots of hits. If they get a bunch of hits like that, they can raise their advertising rates. So keep covering me. Some people have given me 2 or 3 stories of the past 3 to 4 months. Keep giving it to me. I'm not complaining. They're happy. I'm happy. Life is good.
Literally. I love it. I dig it. It's been an hour. Dre, do you have any other questions, or should we let?
Let me see. Let me check my show notes. No,
I appreciate the time you guys gave me. I appreciate this. Good for you guys. I hope this awesome show explodes and goes crazy.
We hope the
The
same
reason
thing.
why I do so many of these, I do a lot of these, and I do them for a very important reason. This is the future of media.
Absolutely.
It just is.
Because we cannot trust MSM.
Correct. This is the future of media. So I'm on board. I'm supporting. I hope one day, Dre, you're covering the next presidential election. It'd be awesome.
And I'm
me too.
I mean, we did a live stream last time, but no, I mean, I'm totally down for it. I mean, it'd be, imagine instead of 4 major channels, you have 40,000 small channels that people get their information from,
Unfortunately, when I did interview Joe Jorgensen, I was 3 sheets to the wind because the Iowa people were giving me hard alcohol at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I didn't get a chance to interview her till like 7.
Oh, well,
It doesn't matter. It wouldn't have gone any better.
I had to take it down. It was that embarrassing. I was talking
Yes,
about how well she
but it
takes
wouldn't
care
have
of her
gone any
hair.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
no,
It wouldn't have gone
it
any
was
better.
bad. But you know what? Better candidates next time all around. I'm sure.
There we go. Yes.
Much
Yep.
better things to come, especially Larry, if you are getting your stuff out there and you are willing to help, other people running. Your staff should be teaching classes because you guys are doing a lot right.
I offer
You do?
all the time.
Tell the folks where they can find that, or do they just contact
I gotta
you?
tell you, Florida did it.
Oh yeah.
LP Florida actually let me do a candidate training class. They did. People don't ask me. Now I'm not doing it anymore because I'm running, but I've been offering for 3 years. People never ask me.
Well,
They
they're
do want me
missing out.
sometimes to raise money, which is not bad. Sometimes they ask me to raise money, which I'll do that too. I'll go raise money for anybody. I don't mind.
You when you came to Unconvention, we did some kind of auction or something. You raised so much more money than we ever expected. It was amazing.
Absolutely. That's what I'm good at that. Yes, I am good at raising money. That's one of my skill sets. Literally, if you look at the amount of money I raised the last time I ran, only presidential candidates have raised more money than me.
Huh. That's crazy.
I raised $500,000.
Yeah.
And $500,000, and my average donation was about $85 to $90.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean,
yes,
it's all grassroots. Yeah.
The reason why I raise money is not because I'm super handsome. I mean, I am super handsome. That's true. But that's not the reason. The reason is because I try to give people real value. I think of it like a business. If you give me money, you're investing in me. How do you know that? You said it, Dre. LarrySharpe.com is literally a policy library that anybody can use. It's a policy library anybody can use.
That's amazing.
Right? So you're building a policy library that anybody can use. All my videos are all online. All my stuff is, you can grab any of them and use them whenever you like. So you are investing in something that's not going away versus every other candidate just runs, loses, and walks away. So I'm not doing that. So that's why I raise money. People realize I'm here to stay. I just spoke at South by Southwest.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
In Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Great. Yes. It's crazy. This is what we're talking about. Spike was with me, by the way. Spike, by the way, is doing something that others haven't done either. He's staying around, which is great. I know some people like Spike. Some people hate Spike. I know.
Love him.
I don't care. I am happy he's staying.
Me too.
So whether
Spike
you like
will be
or
on the show
not,
in a couple weeks.
I am happy he's with us. Most of the time they pack up and leave. He's with us and still doing stuff. We should be happy about that. Whatever your thoughts about him. I happen to love him. Some people don't. It's fine.
No, we love him. We
he's
just
here.
booked him on the show for April 19th because he is so busy. He is constantly moving around. He's going to events.
Absolutely.
And he'll be doing 3 in Texas in 1 month and won't be in our state convention, but that's whatever it is. Whatever.
There we go.
Anyway.
All right,
hopefully
guys, I
he'll be
will
here
let
in
you
June.
run.
Yes.
So good talking to you all.
Definitely.
Thank you for joining us, Larry. Very
so
good
much.
luck in your campaign. Love ya.
Right.
Best of luck.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
That was Larry Sharpe. We just did over an hour.
was
Always
awesome.
fun to talk to him. We're still live, yeah.
Yeah. I've got
Oh, do we have more
people
comments?
reminding me of my memory, anyway, that awful experience where I was drunk and on live camera. Never again.
I didn't see
No
that.
more hard alcohol.
I never saw that. See,
That's good. My daughter was texting me in the middle of the interview going, you're live. You're fucking shit-faced, mother.
I was pretty lit during the election coverage that we did last year, the 6-hour marathon thing that we did.
Yeah, no, this was in person and interviewing presidential candidate after presidential candidate at the Iowa convention.
Yeah, no, that's nope. I'm good. Well, we'll be at the Nebraska convention. I'll actually be emceeing
Yes, we
that,
will.
and then I'll have a show that night in North Platte as well at Peg Legs Brewing. That will start at 8:00. So y'all can. It's I'm pretty sure it's free entry. Y'all can come.
That's what I was told.
Hang out and have a bunch of drinks with us. So They close at 10 though, so like we can't stay too late. It's like one of those
Oh,
times where they
shit.
roll up the sidewalk. Yeah, I was looking forward. I was talking to Mia about it. I'm like, yeah, they close at 10, so I guess no getting drunk after the show. And she's like, did you really need to get drunk after the show? I'm like, no, but it's tradition. Like, what am I supposed to do? Did you really twirl Jorgen? Did you actually do that?
So
Fuck yes.
Caitlin, who was on her staff, was sitting on the other side of her. Joe's sitting in the middle of us, and we're both supposed to be interviewing her on some tour bus. And, you know, Caitlin's asking her like real questions. And I'm like, your hair is so soft. Hey, you guys, Joe Jorgensen takes really good care of her hair, just in case you're wondering.
No, we'll have to go live from the Nebraska convention, at least talk to some people and shoot the shit with them.
Absolutely. So. It's going to be an interesting time, I think, for several reasons, but I'm excited. I think it'll be a fun time. So, and I think Saturday night going to, the comedy club will be much more fun than playing board comedy games.
Club. Yes. If you are listening to this and you are going to be in North Platte and remind you, I'm not registered anything. I'm hired gun. I'm libertarian leaning. Obviously, I'm coming out to MC this thing. I have no interest in seeing anybody succeed or fail or anything like that. I'm coming out there and then I'll be putting a show on that night. It'll be a lot of fun though. You'll get to see some politically unbiased. Well, no, it's pretty biased, but somebody. I mean, I got Monty Scott and Noe Ramirez, two great comics. They'll be there with me opening the night up, and I think Kent Maslowski too. I'm not 100% sure, but he should. They're all fucking hilarious comics.
They are.
They'll be opening up for me and featuring and all that, and it'll be a great night. And so I think if you prefer that to board games, if you want to come hang out with a couple degenerates, that might be more your speed. So
yeah, and you know what? We'll figure out something after 10 o'clock. I guess we'll have to hit the store before that and find a spot to just go drink after the show. I don't know.
Yep, not in my hotel room though. I'm very private. I don't want people harassing me. It's fucking North Platte. We can all just get hammered in the middle of the interstate. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll find a parking lot. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what the kids. We'll probably meet up with some locals. That's what the kids do down there. So
that's what the kids do here. Fuck it.
Finally feel young again. Yeah, no. But this is anything else we want to plug?
No, we can just put Dan's links back up there, and next time we will have the proper. I think we have a discount code for Dan's stuff. So
yes, I will get that. I will get that on there
for Nug of Knowledge.
Taxationstuff.info. Definitely. Yeah. Make sure you guys. We are on YouTube. We are on Rumble. We were on Odyssey. I don't really know how much traction that website gets, so we haven't really posted to that in a while. If you are on Odyssey, let us know, and we'll start posting back to it again. But right now, I'm not going to post it to an app where, it's just kind of goofy right now.
My God.
What?
Oh, now he's saying he might have a copy of the interview. Please only DM that to me.
Oh, perfect. I want to see it too. That's
don't give any Caleb blackmailing.
But yeah. So subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Mental Misdeeds. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Caleb Isn't Funny. I'm on TikTok, Caleb Salvatore Comedy. You can follow me there as well. Do you have any social media you want to plug or no?
No, I don't post much on there. So
yeah, that's okay then.
That's don't worry about it. Follow our webpage. We're trying to get if you guys, the best thing you can do for us is to like and subscribe on YouTube so that we can get an actual YouTube link that has our name in it and not a bunch of gobbledygook at the end of it.
Yes. Like and subscribe on everything. Rumble's a great app. It's the first legitimate, because a lot of the times you see these free speech people come out and they have a great idea for a social media site that's a competitor to Facebook or a video site that's a competitor to YouTube. And it's a bag of shit, man, because let's be real. The left pretty much owns Silicon Valley and all of the programming and web design stuff. So Rumble is the first legitimate pro free speech alternative to YouTube that isn't glitchy, that isn't buggy, that doesn't look like it's from 2007. Like It's a legitimate site. When I upload our videos to YouTube and when I upload them to Rumble, I get them on Rumble in half the time and the quality's every bit as good. So if StreamYard would let us stream there, we would be doing that as well. It's not hooked up at the moment, but maybe they'll have it someday soon. It's the rumor. But seriously, get on Rumble and then subscribe to us at Mental Misdeeds on there. So
Please and thank you.
yes.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Do we have a guest locked down or no?
Yes, Terrence Gawith. He's a comedian. He is a podcaster from Washington, D.C. He's a good friend of mine. We've done shows together, so he will be joining us next week. Super cool guy.
Awesome. So. Look forward to that. All right, guys.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Peace out, you guys. See you next week.